Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome on in to the Brass Ring Media Podcast for Friday, February 21st, 2025. It is good to be back. I'm Zach Haydorn, your host. That is Tyler Sage, your other host. We're finally back here, the dynamic duo. We've kind of been we've had the show, but not together for a handful of weeks here. So, Tyler, what's going on, dude?
Hey, good to be back. Good to be with you, Zach.
You too, dude.
Good to chat some wrestling. A lot's happened, but also not a lot has happened. At least, I think a lot has happened. So we've talked offline a lot that before I left is probably the slowest time ever in AEW. Not even that that's bad, because it's hey, at least they're not showing videos of CM Punk fighting
That's true.
later and what is going on here. It's that slow, steady, hey, there's this going on, just nothing super of note while Rumble's going on, all that stuff. And I feel like WWE post-Saturday or next Saturday, it's going to be in that boat for a little bit, and it's time for AEW to strike. So I'm excited for that period of time before WrestleMania as well.
Yeah, I am too. And I think we got a lot to break down as far as that goes in terms of is AEW ready to capitalize on that before the WrestleMania whirlwind starts? So we're going to talk a lot about AEW on the show. I know Tyler hit a lot of WWE on Tuesday, so we will work to cover AEW, cover Grand Slam Fallout this week on AEW Dynamite. But first, we gotta talk about The Rock, and we'll start the show there today. Hello to everybody who's joining us in our live chat. John and Ross are in there. What's going on, you guys? Everybody else who's joining us live on YouTube, hello. And if you're on X watching us, hello to you as well. Thanks so much for being here. Tyler, The Rock last night posted on social media that he is going to be in New Orleans tonight on SmackDown for an appearance. That's it. That's it. As far as last night's news went, Rock says, and I'm gonna actually read his tweet because I want to, just follow me on this, okay? The Rock last night wrote on socials, bold and disruptive, unpredictable and dangerous. The final boss returns live on SmackDown tomorrow. 7 Central, 8 Eastern on the USA Network. Okay, so that's last night. So last night I'm thinking okay, that's that's interesting. The timing's right. WrestleMania plans are getting finalized. This Rock coming in the last minute, that's all par for the course. This makes sense. This morning, reports surfaced. Now this is from WrestleVotes. So it's a rumor. It's a news nugget. I have not been able to double source this, so I'm just talking about it as a rumor.
From WrestleVotes, is that what you said?
Yes, and they're pretty reputable. Okay. I trust them enough to say this on our show, so Okay. Take that as you will. Reports that The Rock is just going to announce WrestleMania 42 in New Orleans with this appearance on SmackDown tonight. So I say that because, number one, is that a red herring? They're in New Orleans tonight. I'm sure that's part of the announcement. But is this something where you think The Rock goes, hey, we're announcing this big thing, but that's next year. And this year I want whatever, Roman or whoever. Or is it just Rock being Rock and he's going to be PR guy, WWE board member Rock tonight, and that's it? And you're just going to get that announcement and that's that. I mean, what's your sense on this, last second hype for The Rock tonight?
What was the rating? What's the rating been for SmackDown?
It's been 1.4, 1.5, consistent.
So that's probably a little part of it. Get a little bump here. I mean, I'm of multiple minds on lots of this, right? Isn't Minneapolis do a WrestleMania? Isn't Indianapolis do several WrestleManias with the deal that they've struck? So that's my question. I don't know what that timeline is on that. Is that by WrestleMania 50 they each get one or two? But also, like, you don't need incredible sourcing within the company to know, like, hey, we've booked this huge venue for WrestleMania 42, right? That is hard to not leak pretty immediately. So I think that's pretty, obtainable information for somebody to get.
And that's been out there. I just want to put that out there. Like, Superdome next year for WrestleMania 42, that has been, like, reported. That's where they're going.
So that all makes sense to me. I wonder why then with the Rock character, why you like portray it as like the final boss is coming to town. What is the goal there to then just be like the PR guy? Because, like, the thing here is that gets you is obviously no Roman in the chamber. So either it's a triple threat with, him and Punk and Rollins, or it's something with him and The Rock, right? Are the two options. And Roman at this point is like a title match, right? You have 2 title matches in the Roman match, or the 3 biggest matches you can put on at WrestleMania over 2 days.
That's right.
So, I think it's probably just an announcement that seems credible and logical to me for this quick of a, what is it, 24 hours of even a promotion, lack thereof. So it's probably that, but there's always a possibility of something too.
I think for, like, if you're looking at this year's WrestleMania, it's weird to say, because I think normally when The Rock comes in, like when you do business with The Rock, it's about The Rock. And like, he's one of the biggest stars in the world. He's got his own way of doing things. There's just there are other layers of stuff to go through when you're working with a guy like that. Now, you obviously reap the benefits of that. So I don't know that I'd ever like be advocating for, like, oh man, WrestleMania needs The Rock. And I don't know that they need him from like a star power perspective this year. But if Rock's on the show, I think the show itself falls into place a lot nicer than if he's not on the show, because he gets the Roman match. Then because if he gets that, then you're not doing like the weird triple threat with Rollins and Punk and Roman together. You can. To me, there's other, like, Rock being involved, like, gives the show instantly something massive, which is Rock and Roman, and so I think that would carry a lot of weight. And I think this year, we don't know yet because we don't know what the final card is, but this year there's just a lot of pieces that kind of, to me, are going to be like jammed together to fit rather than like fit nicely. And the Roman Rock match just fits so perfect whenever they do it. And so I'd like to see that. What I don't like about this, I can't go through the show without talking about, like, just the hypocrisy of, like, The Rock presenting himself as bold, disruptive, unpredictable, and dangerous on this little announcement thing, only to then come out there and, like, announce the WrestleMania 42 location. Like, I hope that The Rock, and The Rock is somebody that we all know is somebody who, is very much aware of his, kind of stature in the world and the way people perceive him and his perception and, his brand, all that stuff. I mean, The Rock is a business, is in and of itself, and he's acutely aware of that. This would be so lame to, like, present as the final boss coming back and then, like, to be like corporate sponsor guy. I think he needs to be careful about that, because eventually, like, these little appearances aren't going to matter if, like, everybody assumes that that's what he's coming back for. Like, oh, Rock is, gonna announce something. It's like The Rock is better as a wrestling character. That's what made last year so much fun. And it's just, you can only like you can chip away at that so much before people stop buying you as that. And to me, I don't know. To me, like, it's one of those things that I don't know that you can see the cliff coming, but once you fall off it, like, you're not going back up.
Yeah, and it's
just so lame too.
Yeah, and it's like, what's even like, what would be worse, like him just saying, like, hey, WrestleMania's here next year, it's going to be the most electrifying, XYZ promo, or is it like, hey, I'm winning the title next year at the main event of WrestleMania here? And it's like, it's the once in a lifetime booking where it's like a year down the line, whoever's the champion is going to face The Rock. And you just know, like, okay, well, he's got to win one of these two then, I guess. Who's going to win the Rumble and challenge, LA Knight for the U.S. title or something if he gets it back from Shinsuke. So
I think that I would like that better, honestly. Like, I think that I would like the final boss coming back and being like, hey, I got stuff to do this year.
Mm-hmm.
You guys aren't going to get me here. I'm going to be in New Orleans next year, and I'm wrestling the champion. Like, I think at least, like, that's not great because it's like it warps your whole year.
Mm-hmm.
But I think at least it's like the final boss, like being a wrestling character on a wrestling show.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I reserve the right to change that opinion. But if I'm given those two options, like corporate sponsor Rock or wrestling character Rock that plays out over a year, I mean, I think I'm taking the latter.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't really see another option either. Because like on SmackDown, is there anyone that he can even be in the ring with that's not like a downgrade for The Rock, who's like an over babyface on SmackDown? Because there's like certainly lacking over babyfaces on SmackDown that aren't Cody.
Yes.
So he can't even go in and beat up a fan favorite for no reason. So
yeah. How do you? Let's just have some fun here, real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if Rock is in this year, and he's going to announce this WrestleMania 42 location, which is what all signs indicate. It doesn't mean he won't say something else. Is Rock Roman the way you go here at this point, or like do you try to do Rock and Cody again, or do you put Rock in a tag match? I mean, I'm just trying to think of like the potential options here. Again, I'm not advocating for anything else other than Rock and Roman. I think that's the match you do. But Punk is on the roster, Drew McIntyre's on the roster, Seth's on the. I mean, there's other guys you could potentially toss in there, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you have him, the thing you do is you have him out there cutting his like corporate promo, and then you have Solo come out with
there you go
all the Wolfpack bloodline, and Solo's trying to cut a promo on Rock, and Rock stands there, and then Fatu and Tama Tonga Loa all just beat down Solo Sikoa, and they align behind Rock.
Perfect.
And then Rock is challenging Roman for the tribal chief. I can never say the name of the necklace. Lulu Fala.
Yeah. So there you go. I mean, that takes care of a lot, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's obviously like the best course of action. So that's not that's booking 101. So
yeah, and it takes Solo out of the lead spot and the co-lead spot of the OG.
Then him and Jimmy can be tag champions at some point.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. All right, more on this in a minute. We'll keep the conversation rolling here. We'll get to some of your comments, but let's take care of a little business first. This is the Brass Ring Media Podcast. We are live with this show on the One True Sport YouTube channel 2 times a week on Tuesday nights and later in the week, in the morning or the afternoon, depending on how schedules shake out. It's great to be here. We've had a partnership with One True Sport since the beginning of the year. It's been awesome. The brand is really cool. If you guys are not checking out content on OneTrueSport.com and on the One True Sport YouTube channel, please do subscribe to One True Sport. You'll be happy. You'll be happy that you did. Brass Ring Media has all sorts of different live shows that hit this YouTube channel throughout the week. We've got this show twice a week. Robert Vallejos with Nocturnal Knockout has got your Raw post show locked down every Monday night. And then on Saturday mornings, the Kick Ash podcast with Ashley is a great show that, kind of gets you ready, gets you primed up for the weekend in wrestling, and also does a really thorough review of SmackDown every week. So you can check those out live right here on the One True Sport YouTube channel. You can also download them after the fact on the Brass Ring Media podcast feed. So wherever you get your podcasts, just search Brass Ring Media, and our feed comes up. You can subscribe for free, and you get all of our live shows. So hopefully you guys do that. We've seen some we've seen a lot of new members to a lot of new subscribers to our podcast feed. So we thank you in advance for that. We also offer Brass Ring Media membership, where our members get exclusive content from myself, from Tyler, from others. It's on Patreon. That's where everything lives. Patreon.com/Brass Ring Media. Our members get a member-only show once a week. They get all of our pay-per-view and PLE review shows. They get access to our Discord community. So if you don't want to hang out and talk wrestling on social media, you can head over to our Discord and talk there, talk about wrestling, life, movies, sports, all sorts of stuff. And also just a vast array of other perks for members. So check it out, patreon.com/Brass Ring Media. We'd love to have you. We'd love to have you try us out. It's only $4 a month to do that. We do offer gold membership, which is our premium membership. And Sean, we thank you for that. And we also thank Adam for that as well. Adam, oh my God. Andrew, Jesus. Andrew and Sean are our two current Brass Ring Media Gold members. They get even more perks, including free kind of super chats throughout our shows here, and access to join us during podcasts throughout the year. So if you're interested in that, it's all at Patreon, patreon.com/Brass Ring Media. As far as today goes, guys, with live chats open and it's rolling like normal. We got Dr. Ross in there. Sean is in there. As I said, John, and we have super chats open as well. It's kind of super chat is the lifeblood of Brass Ring Media. So if you can help us out and toss us a super chat, ask a question, bring up a topic, we'll make sure to get to it. Any contribution amount helps us out, and we certainly thank you in advance for that as we go through our show here today for the next 45 minutes or thereabouts. All right, so Rock is in play. My final question to you, Tyler, about Rock is more in line with what you kind of brought up before about this, like, hey, I'm going to announce the WrestleMania 42 location, but I'm also going to announce that I'm wrestling at WrestleMania 42.
Mm-hmm.
How dangerous is that? Like, how dangerous is that? Because it's Rock. He's in his 50s. To me, like, whenever he's in the ring wrestling, like, you look at that tag match, it's like every step that he takes, I'm like, oh God, like, it's not fluid. It's not smooth. It's just, it's not bad. I would not classify it as bad. I would just classify it as rocky. No pun intended. Just a little rocky, he seems a little skittish, a little just unsure. And with a 50-something-year-old guy who's massive, and you just never know when that injury bug is going to hit. So, like, is it smart for WWE to put their eggs in the Rock basket for WrestleMania 42 if that is what they decide to do here?
Yeah, I mean, to announce 14 months in advance, essentially, because I think WrestleMania next year is also going to be late April, right? That seems to be the cadence they want to avoid.
It seems to be like that's where they're moving, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it seems dangerous to say, like, anybody is going to be wrestling at this WrestleMania. You just never know what's going to happen in life to, like, guarantee something that far out in advance. But, it depends how they do it if they do it, right? If it says he's going to wrestle, it's not like I'm going to wrestle for a world title, because then that totally spoils a pay-per-view event. So if he's like, hey, I'm going to wrestle, that's fine, because things can always change. I would avoid it just in general for anybody, because you want to put the focus on this year's WrestleMania and not have it be one up by next year's WrestleMania already. I'm sure the great folks in Las Vegas would not prefer that at this point. But also, like, on your point, we don't need him to do the Undertaker training, which didn't really help much, right, in his final matches. But, like, matches that The Rock has left in him at this point, would you say like 2.5? Would you take the over or the under on that?
Under. I would take the under. I think there's 2 matches that you do. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. So, if that's the case, then, how old is he? Is he 51?
He's 52, so he'll be 53.
Okay. Yeah, his birthday's like in March, right? Or April. Yeah. So, Yeah. You don't want to do like, hey, it's night 2 of SummerSlam and then night 2 of WrestleMania for those two, right? You probably want to do 2 WrestleManias for that.
And I guess I just kind of like, I don't know. We say 2.
Yeah.
I really think it's 1. I mean, I honestly think that is 1. I think you do Roman and Rock. I mean, Rock extinguished all the heat in the Cody match, right? I mean, there's nothing really there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I meant physically, not like what's on the table booking.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay, all right, I misunderstood. Okay,
yeah. Like, I was like, physically, could he do tag matches or matches with Roman? Obviously, him and Roman is the best opponent for him because they can do like the slow plotting story-based match, no problem. So that's for sure on the table. But yeah, like I meant physically, and that's like this is not like this podcast has not been pro Chris Jericho or been fair on Chris Jericho, but like that dude's 54, 55.
Yeah.
And like that's just proving like not getting off the bike, you can go a lot longer than if you get off the bike for a long time and then get back on, as we see with Cena and The Rock here.
Yeah. Well, even like CM Punk, too, same kind of thing. He's way younger than those guys, but I think there is an element of like getting off the bike. You get off that, and you don't know how well you're going to get back on. Yeah. Do you like? Is there anybody else in the hopper for The Rock? Like Roman, okay, we've stipulated to that. Cody was there. I don't really know that makes sense anymore. Like, seriously, like, I don't know what The Rock was thinking with that, if like doing that, but obviously they could just have Rock attack Cody and, it was all the thing and blah, blah. I mean, you could get there. Fine. But I don't know, man. Like what the Rock likes to do big things that break records, and sell out buildings. When I look at that landscape, if I'm Rock, I'm going, I got one left. One huge match left. Me and Roman Reigns. That's it. And then I'm done. Like that. Seriously, like I just don't, like Braun Breaker and The Rock, like that's not going to be a thing. Gunther and The Rock, that's not going to be a thing. I just don't know. Like, I think that you're coming up to this point where he doesn't have very many matches in him anyway. And like creatively, I don't think he has very many matches out there that are going to do what Rock wants them to do.
Yeah. It'd almost have to be someone outside of the sport.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if it's funny that Logan Paul's there, but Jake Paul's the one that fought Tyson and everybody watched. Like if The Rock beat Jake Paul in a match that Tyson couldn't, I think The Rock would really be excited about that opportunity to
yes. Okay.
So something like that.
Would it have to be Jake Paul or could it be Logan Paul?
Yeah. I mean, Logan Paul that doesn't seem as potent if I'm The Rock, right?
Yeah.
Like he's in the ecosystem. He's lost to, didn't Rey Mysterio beat Logan Paul at some point?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's gotta be someone that nobody's beaten yet too. That's like the Rock mindset. Or so very few people have beaten. If like somehow they can convince Elon Musk to wrestle, I think The Rock would want to wrestle Elon Musk and beat him, right? Something like that as a joke. Maybe not that, but like that level of like uber celebrity, and The Rock gets to beat them. I think that or Roman is kind of what he wants to do.
Yeah. Good call on the celebrity thing. Yeah.
Or retire Cena. I guess that kind of, but that match would be so bad, and everybody knows it.
Right.
Like he's seen his last match and he like finishes him as like, hey, I own that era too. I could see him being into that idea, but
they just like, if they feel like they've, even though it's been like 15 years since they've done that, it seems like they just did that.
I mean, that would suck. That would be McMahon.
Yes.
So I don't think that's even a potential of happening.
Yeah.
Like, did you see the rumor with McMahon? What do you want to do with the 22 Women's Rumble?
Yes, I did.
Where Ronda would come and beat everybody. So I was like, well, I'm glad.
So Vince.
I'm so glad Vince is gone for lots of reasons.
Yeah, right. For sure. Let's go to the chat on some of this stuff. Let's go to our
one more
member, Sean. Yeah,
what if Brock came back? Would that be enough to get a match out of Brock? Because did they?
Interesting.
I don't think it would be, but that's the only person in the like zeitgeist that, or the chat. Dr. Russ has one that if they could pull it off, I certainly think that'd be a huge match. But,
Austin 4. Oh, God. Dr. Ross in the chat here is suggesting Rock versus Austin for. Oh man, dude,
That's late stage wrestling though. That's the problem.
that is whew, that would be interesting. I think the moment with Rock and Austin was set up for last year at WrestleMania 40, and like with Austin in that Undertaker spot, like that was the moment.
Yeah, and Taker. I mean, in kayfabe, Taker did kind of ruin that match for him. I mean, I don't think Taker can have a match in him, but
that would not be good either.
Yeah,
that would not be good either. Yeah, Austin Rock 4. I mean, that would certainly be it. But like, I mean, I think, honestly, like I think we've any further down that we go here with Rock opponents, it's like I think you're really reaching. I think you could make it make sense. Like, would Rock and Randy Orton be something? I guess, but like not really though. Like not for what Rock wants to do. Same thing with Rock and Punk. Like, like you could do it, but not really. Sean, our gold member here, says, I wouldn't do that if I were him. He's talking about Rock and the year-long build. Let's wait and see how things develop towards the Rumble next year. You shouldn't plan something with him that far out. The other thing that's like factor in here is like just Rock's acting schedule. Like if he gets like a great project or something like that, like it was reported yesterday that he's in on this, Scorsese crime movie now. He's not going to turn down that kind of thing. Like I think WrestleMania, WWE, that is going to be secondary to any kind of cool opportunity like that one. So I think you're right on the money. Right on the money with this, Sean. Sean also says Zach with his overpriced Starbucks again. I do have that. I do. It's a habit. It's a bad habit, and that's that. It's a bad habit, and that's that. Anything else on Rock, man? Anything else that you want to get in on the great one here before we pivot to AEW?
I don't think so. I'm sure we'll talk Tuesday about it.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully. If not, then I think that's indicative of not being effective.
We also have Ashley on the Kick-Ash podcast. We'll be breaking it all down tomorrow right here on the Winter Sport YouTube channel with the Kick-Ash podcast. As I mentioned, that's a wrestling show you need to be listening to and watching for sure.
Is Robert going live after SmackDown, or he stay that for Raw this week?
He's he was just on Raw this week.
Okay.
So you'll need the Kick-Ash podcast for your post SmackDown fix tomorrow morning, 10 Eastern. All right, let's pivot to AEW. You mentioned at the start of the show that AEW has a minute here to kind of get things right or get some added focus on them before WWE goes into full-on blitz mode for WrestleMania, where they've got the new Evolve show, Stand and Deliver, the big tour in Europe pre WrestleMania for Raw and for SmackDown. Like, you just are going to get, once you get to mid-March, you're going to just have an onslaught of WWE stuff. So AEW has a little bit of a window here with Revolution coming up. And my question to you, Tyler, is like, how do you grade them going into this? Like, are they in a position to strike and to make a little noise before WWE gets hot? They did 563,000 viewers this week live. Now, I mean, there's those do not include max numbers, so that's just TBS. But be that as it may. So, like, where do you think they're at, and how do you grade kind of their positioning heading into this this pay-per-view coming up in a couple weeks?
Yeah, on the collision number. I didn't look it up. What did that USA Canada game do
yesterday?
No. The one on Saturday, because it was going head to head with that.
Oh, that did huge, like 4.5 million.
Yeah, so like that's pretty good. Because
really
everybody was watching that game. I was too. So I watched.
No, I mean that was a massive number.
So I bet that 7-day number is pretty good for collision.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean on that, I think it like comes down to the world title and what's going on there. And I don't think Cope or Moxley are the guys right now. And I wish that there was like a pivot there somewhere. Yeah. And I wish that pivot, the get out of jail free card Who's in that match that Christian has that championship opportunity? Like, who else is in that ladder match? Because, like, there's probably somebody that I would rather have than him, too. Like, because they could come in and, if Cope wins for a second and then Christian cashes in, like, I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to get into
not even, like, talking about it. Do you think that's still a thing in AEW? Like, does he still carry around the little contract?
Yeah, they were talking about it on Wednesday.
I guess they were. Yeah, okay. All right.
Yes, he was just letting everybody, which is, like, not the greatest person. I mean, he's set up to just get obliterated by somebody.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, have Kenny have it or Okada, and then either of them just obliterate him after a match and hit a one-winged angel and pin him to, like, show dominance, right? Which is fine. I don't know if Christian is going to love that. But
probably not.
But same 50+ guy that we're talking about earlier with The Rock. So, I think that's like the crux of it, because I like a lot of I like MJF and I like Paige. I think that's really good stuff. Love that segment. I like leading to Kenny and Okada. Hopefully that is for the title. Fletcher and Ospreay obviously still have some unfinished business. You've got Swerve and Ricochet continuing, which all that I'm good with.
Me too.
It's all better than the main event stuff. So that's the only problem, is that, like, I want anyone I just mentioned, Kenny, Will, Swerve, Hangman, lesser extent, of, like, the baby faces to, like, go and have a long baby face run here in the company. And I don't think it's Cope. And it's like, what happens then? Because, like, I think Cope could win. Like, I'm very open to that possibility. I don't know. I haven't looked at the odds or anything at Revolution, because it feels like it's time. But, like, what kind of run is that? I think whoever wins it, honestly, I kind of hope it's Mox, just so it's not like, okay, well, now we got to give Cope the summer as champion to see what happens, as opposed to, like, hey, let's have Moxley lose on a branded Dynamite to Kenny, get Kenny's, twice Kenny's done that, and that's a long-term story. And then you build up Kenny and Okada. So, like, I think there's stuff in place to accelerate and have top-line stories, but I'm not super convinced it's going to happen. I don't think it's not going to happen, but I think it's 50-50 on where they go with all this stuff. The booking has been, like, solid, but kind of uninspired.
I think that's a good way to put it. Uninspired. I watched Dynamite, the last few weeks, and I think it's a better show, than it was 10 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
But as Sean says here, it's a very mixed show. Sean says very mixed show with Dynamite. The bad outweighed the good, but overall, I enjoyed the Hangman Page stuff or the Hangman MJF stuff. That had flaws as well, though, and I think that is the essence of AEW right now. I think they're, like, close in some areas, but everything they do kind of has, like, little, like, black marks against it. Like, the world title not being, like, the A thing is a problem. I really think it's a problem. I really think it drags down the whole show. And I mean, even with, like, think back to WWE when, like, Roman Reigns was babyface champion, with the vest on. Like, it's just, the show's worse when you don't have your biggest program and your biggest championship, like, clicking. It's just not as good. It's just not as good. It's like the main storyline of a drama or something, just not being all that good. Like, nobody's going to watch that. Nobody's going to connect with that. You need to have that. You need to have that there. And I don't think they have that there. I think you want to be in the Kenny Omega business through Revolution, and then have him do the job the Jon Moxley business through Revolution, and then somehow get the championship on Kenny. Like that, I don't think you wait on that. I know he's wrestling Konosuke Takeshita at Revolution for the international title. Okay, like, big whoop. Right?
Just merge it. He can be double belt. Him and Mercedes can have all the belts at all.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Why not?
Because, like, as Sean said, who's the TNT champion? I cannot tell you right now.
It's Daniel Garcia.
Oh, Daniel Garcia. Okay, so there you go.
But there you go. But yeah, Sean says here too, TNT title means nothing. Need to merge the titles soon. Yeah, it's just.
And the Continental champion is.
pieces around, and they can't. I just don't know. They can't seem to connect them, and it makes the show very disjointed. Where you have something really great, and we'll talk about MJF versus Adam Page here in a minute. But you have that, and then on the same show, you've got that weird Thunder Rosa, Megan Bayne thing with the steel chair. Like, what the hell was that all about? Like, what the hell was that? Like, how does that make air?
Yeah.
Either, I mean, at that point, someone in that ring has to be a pro, and Thunder Rosa just needs to either hit her with that chair so she doesn't look goofy, or just have Bane take her out so she looks like a total badass. But you can't like stand around and like do tug of war with the damn chair. It was terrible.
Yeah, it was not good. I didn't bring that up for a reason as my positives. I did like the match before, though. I think Stat as like a gatekeeper is a good call for her role in the
She is.
But yeah, I don't like that, I forget her name, but some random from another company's challenging Mercedes, because we're just like milking that along until we get to hopefully. And I think I like Tony's promo.
I like Tony's promo too. Yeah,
so that was good, and I like her basically calling out Mercedes for a big match. Also, to go through like a gauntlet of women, and to lead it to Mercedes. Like that's like not that it's like all make or break on All In, but it kind of is. You got to have those two matches, right? You got to have Mercedes Tony. You got to have Okada and Kenny. Obviously, Okada Kenny's on the table, but also, so all over the place with Dynamite. We have talked about it for a long time on the show, but
I know.
Isn't it crazy the Double or Nothing's not in Vegas?
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with that in the long run because like it's weird to have like one city have a top 4 or 5 event for a company all the time. I think that can like get negative connotation, and then like what if you don't want to? What if they know that and they charge too much for the building, and then you're like in the D building in the city for your big event? So like that makes sense to put it in a larger building. Hopefully they're not the venue they were at. I like that, but it's definitely like a 3,000 seat concert venue where they were. So hopefully that's not a pay-per-view level venue either.
I think, I think it's weird to because that's been such like a thing, right? I mean, that's where the company was born essentially. But that said, I think it's the right move. I mean, I think it's like
post-Mania, like
right. I mean, that alone. I mean, you're going to have wrestling fans that have just ventured to Vegas like a month before that, pretty much. It doesn't make sense to try to fight that. You talk about Toni Storm. I really liked her promo this week. I thought it was like one of the best things on the show outside of Adam Page and MJF, because I just thought that like Toni Storm in that moment, like she looked like a big time star and she acted like one. She was like, I thought she, not finally, but she really, I thought did a nice job of like being like that timeless Toni Storm character, but keeping it within the realm of like a pro wrestling character too. Like she was like spitting business during that promo. She brought, she kind of like told everybody like what this title run is going to be like. She wants the best challengers and she wants the biggest matches. She put to bed Mariah May, at least in her mind as of right now. Like, I just think that she had a really nice balance there of like the crazy Toni Storm timeless gimmick, but also like a babyface promo in the middle of the ring with the new title belt that she won. You don't see that very often in AEW, and so I thought she hit a home run with that. Let me toss to you in a second on that comment. Sean says here in our chat, she threw away the Mariah feud, and that shouldn't be done yet. And Sean also says, still don't love that character winning the title for a 4th time, but I do love her, so I'm willing to put that aside. So yeah, take any of that, and also just that promo, the promo this week. And I mean, you mentioned Mercedes Moné, but what direction do you see for Toni Storm, as she, heads into the summer?
Mm-hmm. What's our schedule AEW wise post? It's Revolution, then Double or Nothing, then All In, right? That's our 3.
Yeah, like I was wondering about that. So like Dynasty was a pay-per-view they had last year, but this doesn't seem like it's on the calendar this year for April.
Yeah. So,
we'll have a month off.
To me, they're doing this first and foremost, main event of a big branded show that people thought might have been a pay-per-view is, followed up on the next episode with a big time promo with great presentation for that, a specific presentation for that character.
Yeah.
That's good thumbs up. Thank you, AEW. That's what we've wanted for a long time with certain characters, right? Like everything that Moxley is not like aesthetically, even though I did kind of like his promo of like, this is my ring, this is my stuff. Obviously, you saw the clip with him, and it's basically Roman at that contract signing with Brock Lesnar.
Yes. Yeah.
So, that's interesting stuff. But because, not to segue too hard, but like I could see John Moxley being in WWE at some point here as like a big time return. I don't think he's as much beef with Triple H, but anyway, because that's a huge moment for that company if they're both like in their early 40s and they get back and have all those matches.
Yeah, I mean that's a massive.
Yeah, and he'd make a ton of money. So,
yes.
Anyway, so I like that. That's a positive on that front. But I think there's certainly one of those, either Revolution or Double or Nothing. There's some sort of match between them, or you have Team Mariah versus Team Tony in Blood and Guts. And you do the first women's Blood and Guts. I don't know if they can get enough teammates. Mariah would probably have an easier job just finding a bunch of heels. But like you could tell that story, and I think that's probably what I would push for, because that would blow off the feud, and you have both of them, ended on top of the cage or whatever you're going to do. And that's like should be a way to end a feud, not just something you manufacture. Because right now there's nothing else really, unless you do Team Swerve versus Team Ricochet.
They also have that. They also have the Anarchy in the Arena gimmick that they normally do at Double or Nothing.
Yeah.
Too, which
So
I don't know about that, but I mean, it's out there.
Yeah. So probably some combination of all that. With Moxley loses at some point, that's probably something he headlines versus someone else. But I think it's got to be some sort of ladder match, cage match, Blood and Guts, 2 out of 3 falls. You do one match to end the feud between the two of them. And then she moves on to Mercedes with whatever. Interludes in between is fine. So
Sure.
that's like the next 2 big steps I would have for Tony.
That's where I'm at too. Sean says here, it has to be Mariah Revolution. Has to be, right? But I guess you don't want Mariah losing again. No, I think you do.
Yeah.
I think you do. I think that's the role of the heel. Heel loses in the end,
Yeah.
And this feud has established Mariah May as a top heel in the company. So, no, it's like Gunther losing at WrestleMania, or, I think it's just going to happen. That's what heels do. They in the end, they lose.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I think you do the blow up at Revolution. I think you have, Tony cut that promo this week. She says she thinks, or she says she's done. I think, all it takes is Mariah to come back one time, vicious attack. I mean, maybe you do something crazy. Like what if you did like a dog collar match with the two of them?
Yeah.
Or something like that. Like something like really, really, really intense. I mean, you're already doing a cage match at Revolution with Ospreay and Fletcher. So, you're not going to do that twice. I'd like to see him have some kind of vicious, big shock blow off. Like not quite, exploding barbed wire death match, but like dog collar match or like an I quit match or something, something like that. Even like just a death match, I think could be cool if you bill it as that. But you got one more that you could do there. And the thing is, man, like, I don't know, if that match is on the card, I mean, are you putting Copeland and Mox on, in the main event? Like, I don't know. Like I maybe just in theory, just because of tradition, but I think that trilogy match is significantly more important to people than Mox and Cope.
Yeah, I think it's time to. It's still a world championship in the main event, so you're not like breaking your little code. Yeah, I think that's what I do. I mean, the worst match on that show was the Cope and Moxley tag match.
Right.
So every of all the stuff, like Kenny and Takesha's going to be better than that Cope and Mox match. The match we're talking about is going to be better than it. What else is on this?
The Mercedes match is going to be better.
Mercedes match is better. Like work, not really much like story behind it. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be 4 or 5 matches that are certainly going to be better than it to begin with.
Yeah. All right, let's Adam Page and MJF had a really long promo segment this week, but I thought it was pretty compelling. What did you think of that, and what do you think of this feud so far?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I mean, it's thankfully like an MJF away from the Jeff Jarrett story. Like I thought that, like a couple weeks ago, I thought that was going to go to Revolution as like a match, and it probably was. And it was just like, so like, okay, we're done with this, please. Like getting such bad reviews.
I mean, they did the Dustin Rhodes match instead of it.
Yeah,
they didn't even do an MJF Jarrett match after all that,
which tells you how bad that was going. For all of our opinions, etc. But yeah, I mean, it's confusing with the Hangman character is a little big showy currently, right? Bouncing back and forth, which is like a negative. But he's your 6th heel, your 6th babyface, right? Like that's his role on the show. So it works, and for the first time in a long time, it like kind of defined the Hangman character and why people like it. That's a good thing about MJF. As a character, he like builds out like why did you get all this stuff? Why do people like you? And then Hangman didn't really say anything. He's just like, I'm real, which was like cool. Like I didn't know what he was going to say there, and it worked. And everything MJF said worked and made Page a babyface in front of that crowd. So I liked it. It's 2 big stars and 2 guys that have good matches. So that alone by itself is the reason to do it.
I liked it too. I really liked it also. I liked that Adam Page kind of owned all the bad stuff that he did, like during this like heel run that he had. Like I think that he's a babyface now, right? I mean, like he's turned, but I think it's good that he didn't just totally forget everything that kind of had happened in this like dark twist of his. Sean says, is he real after all the stuff he did? He did burn down Swerve's house. Yeah, he did. But see, like, yes, I mean, that's crazy. But like, he did own that, I think he did. So, I mean, to me, like, that's the real, right? He's not pretending he didn't do that. He's not like, he's calling it out. I'm not saying it's a great storyline, but I'm saying that like, at least he's owning that. But I like you had 2 kind of genuine, authentic characters going at it on the microphone, and one of them is a good guy, the other one's a bad guy. The crowd is reacting to them the way that they want. I think that in AEW especially, like that can go overlooked as like being a key part of the show making sense. Like I know, like over the weekend I saw, not to pivot here too much, but I saw like a lot of like compliments of like how awesome it was that Big Bill was getting cheered like during like the ROH show that they did. And I'm just like, that's not good. Like, that's not good. Like if you're like, I guess like if you're in the building and you're just having a fun time, like, okay, but like long-term, like that's not good. He is like a straight up heel. Like that's it. And if he's getting cheered, like he's not doing his job. And if he's playing into those cheers during the show, which he was, he's hurting the match. He's hurting Jericho. He's hurting his baby faces. Like, I don't like that. I think that's a misunderstanding of what pro wrestling is. And so I loved this segment because it wasn't any of that. It was like, no, you're going to hate MJF and you're going to love and cheer for Adam Page. And then they're going to have a match and you're going to be fully invested in Adam Page winning. And that's the formula that works in pro wrestling 9 times out of 10.
Yep. Agreed. And, like burning the house down stuff. I mean, he didn't. So, but like,
how
it's
dare
like,
you?
Undertaker's not dead. So I'm not trying to like, there's just like levels of kayfabe where I worry about it being like the through line being completed. And like when you get to that level, I'm not holding against Triple H for making love to a corpse, right? So there's certain levels where it's like, well, okay, that's out of my brain. That's just me personally.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and you kind of, I mean, look, you kind of have to have that when you watch pro wrestling in general. I mean, like, these guys are wailing on each other's faces, like, like killing each other with these, I don't know. There's just an element of like, you do have to, I don't want to say like dumb down your brain, but like, it's just, it is entertainment in the end. Like,
yeah.
Let me see. Let me check my notes here on Dynamite before we contribute. One last comment here. Anything else on Dynamite that you want to hit before we wrap this baby up?
I don't think so. I'm trying to think. I mean, the confusion of the international thing is also negative.
Okay. Yeah. Go with that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know. Like, what? So, Takeshita is the champion, but he's not because can he earn this shot? Like, really, what is like the machination of this? Because I feel like I missed something, and I missed like an episode while I was away. I didn't like go back and see what happened, but I feel like it wouldn't be that dire, and apparently it was.
Yeah. Sean says here, we can't skip over stuff. The international title series was dumb and should be called out. Yeah. I mean, it really was. Like, so I had this moment watching the show where I was like, international title series. So, like, is it a tournament or is it a series of matches? Is it a series of title defenses? I don't think anybody really knows. But basically, all it was a number one contendership match, and that's it, right? I mean, so I think the series is Takeshita against Orange Cassidy,
mm-hmm.
and the winner of that is going to face Jon Moxley.
Yeah, which sucked. I agree with Sean. That was like the worst main event.
Yeah,
one of the worst main events ever in Dynamite history. I was like,
terrible main event.
Like, just have Ricochet talk in the main event or something, so people can swerve at the end. Like, Jesus. I
mean, but is that the series though? Is that what the international series is? Like, am I analyzing that right?
I don't know. I will take 2 world titles if we can get the international, the continental, and the TNT titles merged into one belt. I will make that trade right now.
No question. The international title like particularly bothers me. Like, I think I'd rather have the TNT title because that's definitely a secondary title.
Yeah, it also is Cody. It's Cody's belt, and it's Sammy Guevara's belt, and it's Darby Allin's belt. Right, those 3 guys define that belt. One of them is doing anything currently.
Yeah, and like, at least like that's a secondary title. Like, okay, period. Like, that's I don't know. Jason says here in our chat, the series was absolutely ridiculous. If they insist on keeping these belts, they really need a brand split. Yeah, thanks, Jason. Yeah, man. That series was pretty rough. Was pretty rough.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know what to make of it. Like, to me, it's like you don't got to call everything at something. Like, that's just a match. That's a match that you had. How bad is it that Roderick Strong is getting main events and Adam Cole isn't? I mean, goodness gracious,
it's not good. Not good at all. Like, there's like how many I haven't gone through the roster recently. I'm thinking Cole. I always associate Cole with Keith Lee, obviously, for the WWE stuff. But how many people are on that roster that have not traveled via a plane ticket that AEW's paid for in a long time? Like Ricky Saints, right? Is his name? Just fine, stop paying him. But the amount of people that Tony is paying to not work is absolutely incredible, and is something he will never do again. I'm sure. Roster will be way tighter going forward. One would presume. So we'll see.
Yeah. Speaking of, last topic before we ride off into the sunset for the weekend. Ricky Starks in NXT. We haven't had a chance to talk about that. He made a surprise appearance, just less than 24 hours after being released from his AEW contract, shows up on NXT, and now he is a he's a main player there. Ricky Saints is his name. I know that's going to ruffle some feathers. You guys know me. I don't care about names. Don't bother me. It's if Braun Breaker is going to main event WrestleMania some year, and that's all you need.
Better than Ricky Austin, right? Because he's from New Orleans and Austin. So
yes,
Ricky Saints is better than Ricky Austin.
Better than Ricky Austin. He'll make it work. If he's a star, he'll make it work. I've been pretty outspoken. Like, I think it's a big loss for AEW. I mean, I think that it's, when you look at guys like him, you got to be able to see some potential in talent that you have, and you need to be able to realize that potential. And with him in particular, I think that there's an authenticity there. I think there's a gravitas there. The in-ring is there. He's just, to me, is a guy that you don't want to let go, and they let him go. And now he's, going to be in NXT. I don't know what his future is going to be in WWE. Like, he's in a very, very big pond now. But he's going to be launched to the top of that NXT brand quick, and they need top male talent on that show. So, I think it's a great move for him. And it's a pretty big loss for AEW. It's more of an opportunity cost type loss. Like, he wasn't on your television show, but he should have been. He should have been, and he wasn't, and now he's in NXT.
Yeah, and this is all him being backstage like 2 years ago, right? Is where this all stems from.
Yeah, like he was at the Royal Rumble like 2 years ago.
Yeah. So, that's stupid, but it is what it is. I doubt there were rules in AEW that, like, hey, you're not allowed to go to another company's show.
Definitely not.
So, like, that's on AEW, right? And you got to be like, hey, you didn't do anything wrong. There's no rules, but now there's new rules. And maybe that's what happened, and there were issues between them. But, like, managing egos is part of the job. And to, like, let that sway. What is Ricky Starks in AEW? He's better than Danny Garcia to me. He's better than Roderick Strong. He's probably better than Ricochet in the right situation. I'm trying to think of, like, where he is on that card, right? He's somewhere around that Ricochet zone, like, in ring, and he's a better talker. So
I think he's right there. I think he's right in the Ricochet.
Yeah, so that's like a upper mid card guy that you just, like, burned, basically. Guy that can compete for championships and probably not win world titles. So, like, it's a big asset to lose.
Yeah, and I think so far in NXT, like, he's been doing fine. He's been doing good. I think, like, one thing that he has, I think, is his best asset is just, to me, that, like, sometimes, like, you got to just have, like, just throw your weight around a little bit and just, like, act like the star that you want to be, even if you're not quite there yet. Mm-hmm. And I think it looks silly early on because you're like, who's this guy? Like, but I think you kind of set the tone for yourself sometimes when that happens. And I think he's kind of doing that. I think he's doing that right now. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, helps when your best friend is Cody Rhodes too.
Yes, and
to be fair,
absolutely helps when he's got. That's like the best situation you could walk into. I mean, Cody is
he was smart for that move for sure.
Super, super smart, and that. Yeah, I mean, yes, you can't overstate. That's important, to have that political backing. Yeah,
especially when Cody goes down to NXT at some point when Ricky's got a big match, and it pops a number for his main event.
Yes,
win the North American title or something.
Totally.
Yeah,
that's all at play. I mean, that's all. Good to see Cody flexing his muscle a little bit too, bringing in his boys. Mm-hmm. Wonder if MJF will be next at some point.
Yeah, I'll have to get that Pete Davidson on that AEW tattoo he's got. But
yes, oh my God, yeah, God, I forgot about that. Yeah, I think he. It's below the boot, like we said at the beginning. You can't see it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, him and, like, you do, like, the meme from Predator, with the two hands grabbing each other.
Yes.
Like getting tattoos you immediately regret, Cody and MJF. So.
Oh my gosh. All right, you guys, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks so much for everybody who joined the show today. I definitely appreciate it. We covered a lot of ground. Reminder that the Kick Ash podcast will be live right here on the One True Sport YouTube channel tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern. Don't miss it. If for some reason you do miss it live, you can catch it obviously on YouTube, but you can also catch it on our podcast feed. Just search Brass Ring Media wherever you get your podcasts, and you'll find us. Once again, quick plug on our membership, Brass Ring Media membership, patreon.com/Brass Ring Media. It's only $4 a month. You get a free member-only podcast once a week. You get all of our pay-per-view and PLE review shows. You get access to our Discord community for members and so much more. It's only $4. So please give us a try. We'd love to have you. We've really, it's been really cool to onboard some new members because of the One True Sport partnership, and we'd love to have you. So try us out. You get your first week for free, so you can try us out and see if you like it and make sure we're giving you the value that you want. Patreon.com/Brass Ring Media. Tyler, it's been fun, man. Any final thoughts?
Nope, I don't think so. Good to be back.
Yeah, it is. It is. Good to get the show. Good to get the show back together before our WrestleMania.
For at least a week or two, because you're leading soon too. So
I know, damn it. but we'll get you guys covered. We'll get you guys covered. Thanks so much. Thanks to our live chatters, Jason and John and Dr. Ross. Thank you to our gold member, Sean. And have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful Friday. And we'll Tyler's like, peace. And we'll talk to y'all real soon. See ya.